To create a scene, first copy and paste your text scene. I have here this dummy text. Copy and paste. Press enter to move to a new line. You can customize it here, but I leave the defaults for now. Let's get back here and run it. Depending on the amount of text, it might take from seconds to minutes. Okay, let's see the result. Okay, let's run it multiple times to see new variations. Okay, now let's see how we can customize it. Ctrl Z to undo. Here you have control over the text grouping, text alignment, and 3D camera. Over here you can choose the text animation, and here you can set text background. Let's start with the text grouping. By default it's set to lines here. Let me run it. Okay, so here, let's go here. First line, second line. So the text grouping is done now by lines. Ctrl Z to undo. Also, we can group the text by a number. Let's say groups of 2 words. And run it. The text formatting over here is overwritten, and now the text grouping is done by 2 words. Now, instead of using only one number like we did here, we can use a range between 2 numbers, let's say 2 and 4, separate by a comma. I'll run it. First let me Ctrl Z and run it. Okay, so there are only groups of 2, 3 and 4 words, randomly chosen. As you can see, ranges are essential to get new variations. Each highlighted field has the options to use ranges between 2 numbers, like we did here. So use ranges whenever you can. First, let me quickly show how the camera zoom works, because it also affects the size. The zoom is a percentage. 100% means full screen, like we have here. Let's change it to 50% and run it. In a way, the zoom controls the group size. Ctrl Z to undo. Let's change back to 100. Back to the font size. In this example, the font size is fixed, so there is no size variation. But as before, let's use a range, say between 60 and 600, and run it. Now we have different sizes within a group. Earlier, we used the camera zoom here to control the group size. And now we are using font size to control the word size within a group. I'm gonna repeat a size 2 times. Over here and run. So what happens? A size is randomly chosen from here, from the font size, and gets repeated 2 times. Then the next two words get a different size between 60 and 600, and the next two, and the next two. Ctrl Z to undo. Like before, we can use a range for new variations. Let's repeat between 1, 3, and run. So, depending on what you're doing, you might want more or less randomness. You can repeat text size, font, color, alignment, and text animation. By repeating a value, you can create patterns that give structure. This makes it easier for the brain to make sense of what's in front. Usually, it's best used with ranges. Instead of repeating by a fixed number, which gives a fixed result, use a range for control variation. So, you can align to the left, center, and to the right. For now, let's align only to the left and turn this off. Run. The text is to the left side and from top to bottom. First word, second, and so on. You can go the other way from bottom to top, like this. Turn this off and turn this on, and again run it. So, same alignment to the left, but different order, from bottom to top. You can align to the right with these two buttons. Let me turn this off. Ctrl Z to undo. These two buttons. Let me turn this off and run with only one. The difference is this one aligns to the right and bottom, and this one to the right and top. Same here, but to the left. So far we use alignment only one at a time. Let's try turning on multiple alignments. Align right, left, again to the right, but a little bit different, and left one time, this one. Okay, run. Now each word from the text is aligned to based on these buttons. So one of these 4 alignments is randomly chosen for each word. As before, we can use a range between 2 numbers, like we have here. The groups alignment here works identically as with the word alignment, but it has one more option. You can set groups at different Z positions. Okay, so the basic idea is more or less randomness based on this percentage. You can get very different results if you play with this slider over here. Same with the rotation, this one. Lastly, the spacing controls the distance between words. So this one, in pixels. Okay, let's start with the timing. There are 3 ways to place the markers. First way is to set a fixed duration, let's say 2 seconds, and run it. 2 seconds here, and just run it. Okay, so the duration between the markers is 2 seconds. For a different start time, drag the work area, like this. And run. Next, we can use the markers from another layer. Let's say you have the markers already set, like this. Let's say this. But you want a new variation. First, we need to set the duration to 0. And move the layer at the top at index 1. This one, move it to the top. Let's go move this one also. Run. The new markers match. The third way is by counting the number of words in a group. So shorter text will stay less on the screen, longer text more. Like before, set the duration to 0, but this time the first layer must be without markers. So 0, we already have this, and Ctrl Z to get rid of all of this. Okay. Next, we use the work area to set the duration, like this. Let's say from 2 to 10. Okay, run. You can quickly test different lengths. Which can be a good starting point. Okay, for fine-tuning, we can add additional markers to target individual words within a group. So we have this animation, and we can control each word if we add a marker. Let's say so we have first word starting, then second, third, and so on. For a new marker, press the star key from the numeric keypad. Okay, back to the 3D camera. Let's set the duration to 1 second and the camera movement to 0.5 seconds. So we already have 1 second and the movement 0.5 seconds. 0.5. Let's run it. Let me preview it. So the duration between markers is 1 second and the camera is traveling from one group to the next in 0.5 seconds. Already has arrived at the next group. And next. Okay. In addition to this, you can add constant movement here. Rotation, constant rotation, zoom, and constant zoom. Let's see an example here. First, we have the rotation, camera rotation, constant rotation, camera zoom, and constant zoom. All of these fields work best with ranges, like this. Choose different speeds over here. Unfortunately, I couldn't include the animations preview in the UI. Scripts don't support video, but you can use this page for preview. When you find something you like, just copy and paste the name into a search box. So, copy and paste it here in the search box, hit enter. Here we have the animation. To reset the search, just click the result number here. Also, you can search for a keyword like this, slide. So we have 60 results. You can have multiple animations. Just hold down the control like this and select. As before, with size, font, color, and alignment, we can repeat an animation and create a pattern here. There are two types for words and groups. Words and groups. But they behave in the same way. Again, is using a percentage slider here. 0 means no words have background. 100%, all words have background. Furthermore, you can choose which word have background by the number of letters. We have the slider set to 100% and the number of letters to, let's say, 3. This means that 100% of words with 3 letters will have background. Choose multiple animation by holding down the Control key and select like this. You can freeze animation here, Control and click. Now you get just the background and no animation. Here you can extend the background size and roundness. I have an example here, so extend size, and also we can have rounded corners. Over here you can add scene background, lights, dust and motion blur. Okay, I have an example here, scene background, lights, dust and motion blur. Each time you run it, in the project panel a composition is created, which holds all the assets. This one. And you can go in and edit. Let's say select text and change color to black. Okay, let's go back and turn scene background and motion, no, not motion blur, dust, and run it again. When you're using scene background and dust, 2 more compositions are created here. To set a custom size to a particular word, select the word and click here. So, simply select and click the plus. The word gets a tag here and a label here. Here is the font size. Let's put it something big, 1000 pixels. Also, you need to set the text animation here and the background. So, animation preview, and we can use this number over here. Copy and just paste it. So press minus to remove all tags, like this. First we need to bring the graphic into the project panel. I have this graphic here, over here, this one. Drop it. Let's add a word label for this word. Simply, again, simply. Plus. Now we can choose the graphic from the drop down here. If the graphic doesn't appear here, like we have here, first select the composition you're working on. Just click on the timeline like this and click refresh graphics over here. Okay, so now we have the graphic selected. You need to refresh every time you bring a new graphic into the project panel. Let's run it. Okay, so we have the graphic next to the word simply. If the graphic is too big or too small, use the font size accordingly. If too small, use smaller font size. If too big, larger size. One last point, use ranges to get control variations and repeat a value to create patterns. Playing with these settings will give you many options. I'm Stefan, thank you. For any questions, send an email.